Galileo Galilei. This is the notes for chapters 1 and 2 that you should have read yesterday. Alright, his boyhood. Galileo was born in Pisa, Italy on February 15th, 1564. Notice that on your notes we did skip the part for who was Galileo. Normally I would have you write a sentence or two about that section of the book, but I don't even know if I gave it to you guys in the pod yesterday. So, he was born in Pisa, Italy on February 15th, 1564. He is known mostly by his first name, which is Galileo, because this is how Italy honors the most famous citizens. Kind of like with Carlos Linnaeus, how we saw he was knighted by Sweden as a way to honor him. In Italy, the way of honoring their important citizens was just to call them by their first name. We see the same thing with Michelangelo as well. He was born smack dab during the time of the Renaissance, which we'll see here in just a minute. Just to give you kind of an idea, the same year that he was born, William Shakespeare was born, and Michelangelo died. So he was right around the time of those really important guys. So again, on the timeline, you'll see on your notes there should be a box with lines in it. On that, you're going to write what I have here above the star, that Galileo was born February 15th, 1564. You can see the timeline there. He was born right around the same time as the printing press was invented, about 100 years or so before he was born. Columbus arrived in the New World shortly before that. Ferdinand Magellan was exploring. Shortly after he was born, the Renaissance ended, and the Age of Exploration was taking place with the settlers arriving in Jamestown. Galileo was the firstborn child, and his mother and father both came from noble Italian families. His father, who was named Vincenzo, in Italian that C is pronounced like a CH, so Vincenzo was a musician, and as a musician he didn't make a whole lot of money. He worked very, very hard to give his family the best life that he could offer them. He saved money especially to send his kids to college, which we'll see in just a little bit. Now, we're also going to see that Galileo's father, Vincenzo, was a little bit of a rebel. Sometimes the music pieces that he composed would upset the rules that he was supposed to follow, and he would get into trouble. I'm not sure what those rules were, but for example, if he was only supposed to use certain notes or certain octaves, or maybe his music was too fast or too loud or too slow, whatever the case, he was a little irritated by all the rules he was supposed to follow as a musician. So he is quoted as saying, "I wish to be allowed freely to question in search of truth." So we see here that he's kind of begging, I wish that I could be allowed to write music the way I want to and not have to worry about these rules that are being placed on me. And this bold, outspoken nature had a great impact on Galileo as well, which we'll see later on in his life. Here's a full quote. There's not a spot for you to write this in your notes, but it appears to me that those who rely simply on the weight of authority to prove any assertion, basically saying that it seems to me that, sorry, let me get this mouse here. Anyone who simply says, oh, because they're an authority, that means they must be correct. Anyone who assumes that, without searching out the arguments to support it, acts absurdly. I wish to question freely and to answer freely without any sort of adulation. Arguments, basically. That well becomes any who are sincere in the search for truth. Even from a young age, Galileo loved to draw and play music. So he was involved in the arts from a very young age. When Galileo was 8 years old, his family moved to Florence, Italy, which was the capital of an area called Tuscany, which if you remember from our Renaissance study in history, this was a central hub for the Renaissance time period. This exciting city was a busy hub for learning and arts during this time. So now we have this incredibly smart scientist living smack dab in the middle of the center of the Renaissance, where everyone is learning and writing and establishing new theories. At at the age of 11, he was sent to a monastery school, which is where monks are trained, where he was educated in Greek, Latin, rhetoric, as well as religion. Now, we've mentioned rhetoric before in some of our literature, more so than science, I would say, but rhetoric is just the art of using your words to accomplish a goal, either using them to persuade something, or defend an idea, or convince someone, or even just explain something to someone. The art of using words effectively, that would be considered rhetoric. At one point, Galileo decided to become a monk, but his father did not like this because, remember, he had worked very, very hard to give Galileo a good education. And when Galileo decided to become a monk, his father was a little upset because monks don't make a lot of money. And he felt like this was kind of a waste of all his hard work and the education he had gotten for Galileo. At 17, Galileo was ready to go to the university, or to go to college basically, and continue his learning. Not everyone got to go to college at this time, but this was a privilege his father wanted him to have. And as I mentioned before, he worked very hard to be able to afford for him to go. So, here we get into chapter 2, Hungry for Knowledge. When Galileo enrolled in the University of Pisa, his father wanted him to study medicine and become a successful doctor. However, as a student, Galileo loved to argue. He was kind of a big debater. He loved to prove his ideas. He loved to kind of grapple and really deal with, is this true or is this not? Can we prove it? What's the evidence say, etc. And this kind of reputation for arguing soon earned him the nickname the Wrangler. I like to point out every year that my older brother, Alec, is extremely smart, and he reminds me a bit of Galileo in this, in that my brother loves to see the evidence for something. He's very kind of black and white in that area, and if he thinks he's right, he enjoys arguing or debating to prove that he's right, or to be convinced that he's wrong. But as a friend, Galileo was loyal, generous, and friendly, which is also true of my older brother. People either strongly loved Galileo or strongly hated him. They developed either harsh feelings for him, either one way or the other. Here's a picture of the University of Pisa. It is still standing today, I believe. You can see behind that, you see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which was mentioned in these chapters as well. And this is where Galileo went to school, at least in the beginning. One day, Galileo heard a lecture that inspired him to realize that nature runs on laws based on mathematics. He said the universe cannot be read until we have learned the language in which it is written. It is written in mathematical language, and the letters are the triangles, circles, and other geometric figures. He said, you know what, there seems to be a mathematical law or a formula for everything in the entire universe. And he was somewhat correct in that. There are plenty of formulas, laws out there that we have discovered since, and that when you know there's certain variables and factors you can figure out, mathematicians especially, can figure out many, many things that you would not think they could. So he's quoted as saying, philosophy is written in that great book which ever lies before our eyes. I mean the universe, but we cannot understand it if we do not first learn the language and grasp the symbols in which this universe is written. This book is written in the mathematical language, without which one wanders in vain through a dark labyrinth or like a dark maze. Basically saying if we can't understand math, then we're going to have a hard time understanding the universe, much like it would be difficult to walk through a dark maze. The rest of these notes I actually, for some reason, do not have the slides for. So the rest of these I will post the key for in the next slide.